My husband is a tyrant, a man feared by everyone. Those are the first words we hear from our heroine. But that's not the worst part. With fear in her eyes, she reveals an even darker truth. According to my fate, I'm destined to die at my husband's hands. Expecting a cold-blooded monster, she's prepared for the worst. But when her husband finally appears, instead of violence, he quietly checks her forehead and asks, "You don't seem to have a fever." Moments later, their daughter looks at her with concern. "Mother, are you feeling unwell?" The husband smiles gently and says, "Then I'll just have to take even better care of you." And that's when everything takes an unexpected turn. The woman who thought she was going to be killed ends up being treated like the most precious person in the world. What kind of tyrant is this? If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe. It helps us grow. 1 year earlier, at Flare Castle, nobles from across the empire had gathered for a grand banquet in honor of Emperor. 2 noble ladies came forward, and one of them said, "It's an honor to meet you, His Majesty Nathan." Another noble lady says, "As a token of goodwill, I brought our family's treasured heirloom. His name is Emperor Nathan." First lady speaks, "Please do let us hear your proud melody." "In that case, I shall sing." After hearing it, Emperor Nathan asked, "How unpleasant." Noble ladies bowed respectfully and replied, "I deeply apologize." At that moment, the former empress, whose name was Adelaide, came forward, bringing a young girl with her, and said, "Seems it didn't please you, did it? But I'm sure you'll like this child." The girl went to Emperor Nathan and speaks, "My father is a jeweler, you see. Today, I brought the finest ring he finished recently for His Majesty." Emperor Nathan looked at a girl. Seeing this, she lost in thought. There's no mistake. Those are the eyes of a murderer. At this rate, that man really will kill me. Even though I've been given a second life, to meet a bad end right away is just too cruel. Until a week ago, I worked as a hairdresser in a completely different world. The media even ran features calling me a charismatic stylist. My regular clients were all top-class celebrities. I was living a fulfilling life, having achieved my dreams, or at least, that's how it must have looked to everyone around me. But in reality, I was so exhausted I was on the verge of becoming distrustful of people. My only source of comfort was a webcomic titled, "The Tyrant Awakens to True Love." Whether it was about someone else or the main character, the tyrant Nathan was always treated with affection. The reassurance that the tyrant would love you unconditionally, no matter what, deeply soothed my weary heart. It's almost midnight. I want to hurry home and read the latest chapter. When I woke up, I was one of Nathan's wives, and on top of that, it was my wedding night. I had become Arianel, the one scheduled to be killed immediately. At this party today, Arianel was supposed to fiercely appeal to Nathan, and their marriage would be decided. So I will do nothing today. I'll completely avoid Nathan. That way, I'll surely survive, and spend a peaceful life admiring my favorite from the best seat in the house. Even if one background extra survives, it won't affect the story at all. Still, just standing around doing nothing is too boring. It's such a waste of a beautiful party. Maybe eating something won't hurt. Then she saw a girl walking toward the dining table, and upon seeing her, she fell into thought again. Isn't she Princess Crystal, daughter of the former Empress? The one who becomes the bridge between Nathan and the protagonist's love. The real Princess Crystal. So cute. The story described her as being treated unfairly until she met Nathan, but I didn't expect her to not even have a maid. I can't believe such an adorable girl is left all alone like that. The princess picked up a pastry from the table, but as she stepped forward, the pastry fell from her hands. Seeing this, she began to think, what's with him? He bumped into her and didn't even apologize. Why isn't anyone helping Princess Crystal either? That's, as long as I don't make contact with Nathan, I'll be safe, right? Then she saw a lady and said, "Excuse me for a moment." Lady asked, "Yes? What is it?" She stepped forward and whispered into her ear, "Your hair ornament seems to be out of place. Allow me to fix it." Hearing this, Lady shouted loudly, "What did you say?" Suddenly, her wig came loose and fell down. Seeing this, a noble lady said, "What's with that hair? Such a terrible color. Must have been a failed dye job." As soon as she picked up her wig and handed it back, she says, "Give it back now." Then she began to think, I only meant to fix her wig and tell her about it. But I never imagined it would turn out like this. Looks like she hasn't even eaten her cake yet. Then she noticed that the princess was sitting quietly. so she gave her some pastries. Princess started eating the pastries and said, "It's delicious." Seeing her, she began to think, "Wow, she just ate that tiny cake in one bite. She's so cute." But now that I look more closely, they're not making the most of Princess Crystal's cuteness at all. Her fluffy hair would look way better loosely tied. And even her dress color, there are so many that would suit her more. The maids are slacking off way too much. Ugh, seriously, if it were me, I could make her so much cuter. Once I safely avoid the execution ending, maybe I should find a way to become one of the princess's maids? When he said you, he meant me, right? Looks like that's right. Then Emperor Nathan comes to her. Then she bowed respectfully and said, "I offer my greetings to the Shining Emperor." At that moment, she think again. Say something, please. Even with my knowledge of the original story, I don't really understand noble etiquette. Ariel's own memories are hazy too. I can't even manage a proper greeting without panicking. Suddenly a man came and said, to be stared at so intently, "It seems your majesty has taken quite a liking to that lady. His name is Chancellor Raymond." Then Chancellor Raymond stepped forward and asked, You are?" At that moment, the young man who was with the Chancellor stepped forward and whispered into his ear, "The 9th princess of the kingdom of Silva." Hearing this, Chancellor said, "Silva? Oh, right. If I recall, that's the northern country famous for magic stones, right?" At that moment, Empress Adelaide came and speaks. "That's correct." Then she asked, "All this fuss must be distracting, don't you think? Why don't the two of you spend some time alone to get to know each other?" Chancellor replied, "That seems a bit too forward, don't you think?" Empress Adelaide says, "This is a meeting to decide an engagement. After all, talking alone is perfectly natural, isn't it?" Hearing this, Chancellor began to think, even if His Majesty seems taken with her, marrying a girl from some tiny nation that could be blown away by the wind is ridiculous. A worthless little girl, but far more convenient than any powerful noblewoman in our own country. Her nation may be poor, but those magic stones are tempting. Once married, taking them for ourselves will be all too easy. Giving up the position of main consort and aiming for a low-risk concubine spot instead. Not a bad strategy. Hearing all this, she think, I don't get everything they're saying, but I can tell they're slurring daggers at me. I need to get out of here somehow. Then she said, "I'm not feeling well, so I'll just..." At that moment, two girls came forward. One girl said, "Aria, there you are." Another girl says, "I've been looking for you, Ariel." Her name was Ariel. She was the 9th princess of the kingdom of Silva. At that moment, Ariel began to think, one person after another. I can't remember all these faces or names. Give me a break. Then first girl speaks. This poor girl's a bit socially awkward, so I'll answer any of your questions on her behalf, she said in her mind. Please, feel free to ask anything, Your Majesty. Then she pushed Ariel and asked her, My Aria, are you alright? Still needs more education. Hearing this, she remembered what had happened to Ariel. Ariel said, No, that's not it, I didn't. She brought her outside and, after pushing her, shouted loudly, Don't talk back to me. I guess I'll have to teach you what happens when you defy your elder sister HM? Another girl speaks. No one asked for your opinion. Just shut up and be useful to us. This is Ariel's past memory? Ah, that's heartbreaking. But why? Come to think of it, Princess Crystal. I wonder if she's okay. Hopefully she isn't struggling alone like before. No, I can't just leave her be after all. Then she suddenly broke free from her grasp. Girl shouted, Aria! Then suddenly, the Emperor hugged her. Seeing this, girl was shocked and said, Your Majesty, Emperor Nathan speaks. Silence. Be quiet. The only one I spoke to was this woman. If anyone else dares to open their mouth before me again, I'll make sure it never closes again. Then Ariel looked at him and started thinking, probably wise if I don't speak either. I'm gonna die. He's gonna kill me. This is it. Oh gosh. In that case, I'll picture the adorable Princess Crystal and escape from reality. I won't survive otherwise. At that moment, Chancellor speaks. Understood. Congratulations. Hearing this, she think, Congratulations? Wait, what? No way. I really got married. Does that mean I'm about to be killed right now? Emperor Nathan came, looked at her and said, You look tired. You should rest well tonight. Ariel think, what on earth is going on? Wasn't he supposed to kill me at this very moment? He won't do anything, right? So then why was I let off? Why? Then the Emperor left the room and started thinking. That's what I want to ask. Even though I can hear her thoughts perfectly, it makes no sense at all. Just who is that woman? 16 years ago. He is the former Emperor. His name is Zevi. The courtiers brought Nathan before the Emperor and said, "Wonderful! Whether with a sword or a book, he achieves results beyond all expectations. Prince Nathan is unmistakably a genius. The future of our kingdom is secure." Hearing this, Emperor Zevi began to think, "And with the genius I raised, my future is secure as well. He is my son. Of course he's brilliant." At that moment, Nathan began to think, "From the moment I can remember, I could read other people's minds. And once I understood that mind reading was a one-of-a-kind power." At that time, Nathan was 7 years old. Then, a few years later, Nathan became emperor. One day, he was sitting on his throne while everyone stood silently before him. Nathan thought, "Debates, reports, conversations, I realized it's all pointless." At that moment, the foreign minister started thinking, "Damn it. Does he intend to not even give us a chance to speak today either? I have to find a way to get on his good side and gain some favor." Then finance minister began to think, "That young prince, he can only get away with being so arrogant for so long." They did not know that Emperor Nathan could read minds. After reading this, Emperor Nathan said, "The matter of the delegation from the neighboring country will be handled by the Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs, and the Prime Minister will be in charge of adjusting taxes due to the famine. Foreign Minister Farrell and Finance Minister Aubrey are hereby dismissed as of the end of this meeting. Thank you for your service until now." Hearing this, Foreign Minister shouted loudly, "Why, Your Majesty, I have always served you with the utmost sincerity." Emperor Nathan speaks. "Silence. Get out. Now." Then Foreign Minister shouted loudly, "You silent tyrant! There's no way this kind of despotism should be allowed." Finance Minister shouted loudly, "Divine punishment will befall you one day." At that moment, Emperor Nathan think, "I tune out the noise, read the unvarnished truth, and simply command the conclusion." Then Emperor said, "The Aubrey family is suspected of treason. Investigate every last member of their clan." The crowd was shocked. Then Knight Commander bowed respectfully and speaks, "Understood. His name is Carlos Carmine." At that moment, Nathan began to think, by nipping the seeds of conflict in the bud beforehand, without letting any pointless disputes arise, our nation has achieved peace and prosperity. Perfect governance. There is only one problem remaining. Then a minister stepped forward and speaks, "Your Majesty, I would like you to confirm the list of attendees for this evening's banquet." Nathan began to think, the matter of an heir. The fact that I can no longer be alone. A large number of nobles were present at the banquet that evening. 2 noble ladies stepped forward and approached Emperor Nathan. One lady said, "Your Majesty Nathan, it is an honor to meet you." Then she think, "Marrying a tyrant for the sake of my family's prosperity, how terrifying." Another lady speaks, "As a token of our acquaintance, I have brought a family heirloom." Then they also began to think, "If that tyrant takes a liking to me, even a wish like this might, ugh." Hearing this, Nathan began to think, "Every single one of these women is unbearably noisy. Is there a woman anywhere who won't get in my way?" At that moment, Nathan looked to the other side and saw Ariel thinking, "Princess Crystal is so cute." Hearing this, Nathan think, "What? Whose inner voice is this? The one that is so extremely loud?" Then he asked, "Who is that woman?" Courtier replied, That would be Princess Ariel of the neighboring Silva Kingdom. She has a good disposition and is considered a strong candidate for Empress." Then Courtier began to think. His Majesty spoke. "And what's more," he asked, "about a woman? What's gotten into him?" Emperor Nathan saw her and thought, "A strong candidate for Empress. Wow." Ariel was secretly watching the princess and began to think, "Wow, she's eating cake with her tiny mouth. So cute. Seriously, if that were me, I could do it way cuter." Then Emperor Nathan think again. "Isn't she more like the princess's stalker? Despite being a candidate for Empress, she hasn't said a single word to me. In fact, she hasn't thought about me for even a single moment. And yet that girl is so fixated on Crystal." Seeing the Emperor, the courtier began to think, for His Majesty to show this much interest in a single woman. Emperor continued thinking, "Did she become a candidate because she wanted the princess? Not to be Empress. I can't understand this woman's thoughts at all." Then suddenly, The emperor stood up and walked over to her. Then he said, "You." A moment. Seeing this, a noble think, His Majesty approached a woman on his own. After the marriage, the emperor came to her room and, seeing her, began to think, "I thought I'd understand if I kept her by my side. But the mystery only deepens. She has no ill will or interest in me. She doesn't desire power or money either. It's just, she think, don't kill me." Nathan think again. Seeing how flustered she is, "It seems I won't get anything more out of this." Then Nathan said, "You seem tired today. You should get some rest." Then he left the room and thought, "Who are you? I will uncover your true intentions, no matter what." Meanwhile, Ariano thought, "Did I survive? Thank goodness. But in the end, I still ended up marrying the tyrant. That doesn't mean my safety is guaranteed. I have to find a way to get a divorce, and fast. But still, how can I get a divorce safely? This silent tyrant refuses to even have a conversation. If I just start talking to him, I might incur his wrath and get killed. Maybe I should just try to sleep for now." I feel like I can sleep when I don't know when I might die. At that moment, the door suddenly opened, and Nathan stepped inside and walked over to her, asking. A knife was stolen from the kitchen. "Do you know anything about it?" Ariano replied. "I do not. If you're so concerned, then please search this room and my body." Then she started taking off her dress and thought, "I refuse to be suspected and killed for something I don't even understand. I have to prove my innocence, no matter what." Seeing this, Nathan said, "That's unnecessary. But, hurry and put on some clothes. It would be more troublesome if you caught a cold." Ariano replied, "Yes." Then she think, "Does that mean he believes me now?" At that moment, Nathan speaks. "Once you're dressed, follow me. Tonight you'll be sleeping in my room." Hearing this, Ariano was shocked and asked, "In your Majesty's room?" Nathan replied, "To prevent any potential incidents, you'll stay close to me. Besides, if I'm to keep guard, it's easier in my own quarters." Then he asked, "Is there a problem?" Ariano replied, "No, understood." Then both of them toward the room. Ariano walked after him, deep in thought. "I can't believe things turned out like this. I just barely escaped being killed by Nathan, and now this. What if some intruder stabs me in my sleep? No, but with Nathan right beside me, there's no way I'd actually get killed, right?" At that moment, Ariano's gaze fell on the princess outside the window, and she thought, "Princess Crystal? And what she's holding. I need to grab that knife quickly, then calm her down and ask what's going on. Maybe she's feeling anxious because her father remarried. Oh no, she's too far. I might not make it in time. How am I even going to explain this to Nathan?" Then she saw Nathan. At that moment, Nathan lifted her into his arms and said, "At this distance, it's fine. We'll be there right away." Then he suddenly started running. Ariano began to think, "And he's so fast on top of that. At this rate, we might really save Crystal. Or maybe not, he's going so fast I'm getting dizzy." As they reached there, the princess saw him and shouted loudly, "Who are you? Don't come any closer." Ariano think, "She noticed me." As soon as Nathan reached out to grab the knife, she quickly cut his own hair. At that moment, she think again, "My body won't move? No, why did it come to this? Why did I even try to change the future? If I'd known it'd turn out like this, I should have just talked to Crystal. I always mess up what really matters when it comes to people." When Ariano saw it, Nathan had snatched the knife from his hand. She continued thinking, "Just in time. I want to ask her, but maybe now isn't the right moment." Then he speaks. "It seems she wanted to cut her hair and become a boy. Foolish. Thinking a woman could ever become a man. At least she seems to understand the gravity of what she's done," she said. "Even if no one was hurt. I'm sorry for frightening you. Can I see your hand? I just want to make sure you're not hurt." He says, "That's why I said no one was." She speaks. "There's something I want to confirm. Could your Majesty be silent for a moment?" The princess extended her hand forward. Then she saw his hands and said, "It's all red. That must have hurt, huh? To think you were feeling so desperate that you'd go this far. This is my fault, isn't it?" Then she asked, "Then will you tell me what happened?" Hearing this, he speaks. "That thing you wanted to confirm, was it this? If so, there's no need to ask. I already understand the situation," she said. "Simply understanding the situation isn't enough," he says. "Then you'd rather wait? There's no guarantee she'll even talk." And even if she does, can we really trust the accuracy of a child's words? Then she speaks. Is that so? Then I'll stop just sitting around doing nothing. Hearing this, he said. What? She added. Lady Crystal wanted to cut her hair, didn't she? Then I'll do it for her, he says. Don't be ridiculous. She speaks. I'm not joking. I'm serious. I'm a genius at cutting hair. Then she think. It's asking way too much for someone I barely met to open up to me. I've always struggled with people, let alone being a counselor. There's no way I can do this. In that case, I'll just have to fight on my own turf. At that moment, she said, What kind of hairstyle would you like? Leave it to me, and I can make any hairstyle a reality. She is Princess. His name is Crystal. Crystal asked. Even when it's like this? Ariano replied. Of course. Then Crystal speaks. I tried to cut my hair because I wanted to be a boy, but I couldn't become one, and my hair's a total mess. This isn't what I wanted. Hearing this, Ariano says. I see, Crystal says. The truth is, I like cute things. Thank you for telling me. Then Ariano smiled and speaks. I wanted cute hair that would look good with a ribbon. Alright then. Let's give you a cute hairstyle that's perfect for a ribbon, Crystal says. Okay. Then, all the supplies needed for the haircut were brought in. At that moment, Ariano seated her in a chair, began cutting her hair, and said, It is quite all right for you to go rest, Your Majesty. As if I could leave a consort and a princess alone while they're handling blades. Then Nathan speaks. I suppose you have a point, she said. I'll be done soon, so please wait just a little longer. Nathan added. If you have time for idle chatter, move your hands, she says. My apologies. Then she think. It's hard to work with him staring at me like that. I guess it can't be helped. Then she set the scissors down. Nathan asked, Are you finally done? She replied, No, I still have to add the finishing touches. A little later, she says, All done. Then both of them looked at her. Crystal asked, What do you think? She smiled and said, It's the absolute cutest. I really outdid myself this time. Then she think, in order to make the most of Lady Crystal's soft, wavy hair. Blah blah blah. It turned out so cute that I got carried away. Then she added, Your Majesty, please give her your thoughts. Lady Crystal is waiting to hear what you think. At that moment, she began to think again. It's hopeless. I was a fool to expect a clever compliment from a silent tyrant in the first place. Then she speaks. I suppose seeing it for yourself is clearer than just hearing me talk, isn't it? Then she took her over to the water. Crystal looked at her reflection in the water and smiled happily. Then she says, Wow, I can't believe it can be this cute even when it's short. Ariano said, Of course it is. Because you're the absolute cutest, Lady Crystal. Hearing this, Crystal asked, I'm cute? Ariano replied, Yes. I'll say it as many times as it takes. You are cute, Lady Crystal. Crystal smiled and said, Thank you. At that moment, Ariano began to think, I'm so glad she likes it. No matter how many times I experience it. Seeing a client's happy reaction after a haircut always brings me joy. But, cute even though it's short. And also, wanting to be a boy. Then Nathan stepped forward and said, Crystal, if you are satisfied, go to sleep. Crystal says, About today. Then he asked, Do you wish to be punished? Crystal replied, My apologies. Good night. Hearing this, Ariano think, he didn't have to put it like that. Then he said, I wish to speak with you before you sleep. They returned back to the room. Ariano began to think again. A talk? It's about Princess Crystal, isn't it? Or is he going to reprimand me for talking back? Now that I think about it, why did I have to be so rude? I thought I'd finally managed to avoid the first night execution ending. She cut her hair. It seemed she wanted to be a boy. And here I am digging my own grave. Ah, my life is flashing before my eyes. Princess Crystal, our time together was short. Then she recalled what Nathan had said. If I could, I would have loved to dress you up more and more. At this distance, it shouldn't be a problem. She recalled that again what Nathan had said. What is this strange feeling? That's right. That was strange too. Nathan had been silent the whole time, both then and before, but he suddenly spoke up. It was as if he were answering the question in my mind. Could it be, Nathan? Can you read minds? In this world, there exists a miracle called magic. By forming contracts with spirits and borrowing their power, one can perform all kinds of miracles. However, Only a very few those with true talent can make such contracts. In the original story, Nathan couldn't even read minds or use magic at all, so why? After a while, she asked, "You're not answering this time, are you?" At that moment, Nathan placed a knife against her neck and said, "You must have quite the death wish." She speaks, "Your Majesty said you wanted to talk before going to bed, right? Or did you perhaps mistake it for another kind of talk?" Then he asked, "What is this book you speak of? Tell me everything you know. Leave nothing out." Hearing this, she think, "Book, as in the original story? So it's confirmed he can read minds. But I didn't expect that kind of question. Still, if he asked, that must mean," he said. "Must mean what? Keep talking." She think again. "What the?" Those noisy thoughts from before suddenly. "I can't hear them anymore?" At that moment, she smiled and says, "I've figured out your Majesty's weakness." Hearing this, he said, "What?" Then she think, "You! Lady Crystal's so cute. Lady Crystal's so cute. Lady Crystal's so cute." Hearing this, he think, "I don't understand any of this." Then she said, "Book refers to something tied to my special magic. I can see the future." He asked, "Future sight?" She replied, "According to that future, I was supposed to be executed by your Majesty yesterday. But as I acted to change that fate, I learned about your power through my visions." He says, "Unbelievable. But the fact you blocked my ability is undeniable." She added, "Your Majesty's power is still incomplete. That's why your weakness was so easily exploited." Then he asked, "What did you say?" She asked, "For the sake of a better future, don't you want to perfect your ability faster?" "A deal," he replied. "You'll guarantee the safety of me and Lady Crystal, right?" She says, "Correct." Perfect answer. Then he began to think, just how much does she understand about my power? Can she really deceive me? Otherwise, none of this makes sense. She's worrying about her stepdaughter's safety. After a while, he speaks, "Very well. I'll accept your proposal." She added, "Then let's seal it with a magic contract before you change your mind," he said. Impatient. She says, "My life's on the line, after all." Then she lost in thought. Once a magic contract is formed, not even the Emperor can break it at will. If a violation occurs, the spirit enforcing the pact inflicts a penalty. At that moment, Nathan wrote agreement on the paper and handed it to Arianel, saying, "You will assist in the growth of my ability. In return, I will guarantee the safety of you and Lady Crystal. Any objections?" Then she looked at the paper and said, "None. This works perfectly." Then Nathan stamped it. After a while, she began to think, "With this, Princess Crystal and I are finally safe, or at least, that's what I thought." Then he lay down on the bed. She continued thinking, "Calm down, stay calm. We're just sleeping side by side. Nothing to worry about. Ah, his leg. It's touching me. So bony, and so close." At that moment, Nathan suddenly leaned over her and said, "Can't you sleep a little more quietly?" Meanwhile, in the Silva Kingdom, workers were extracting crystals from a crystal cave. As one worker reached out to pick up a crystal, royal official suddenly grabbed his hand and said, "Hey, what are you thinking? You're not actually planning to steal one, are you?" Worker shouted loudly, "You've thought about it too, haven't you? If we could just use one of these magic stones for ourselves, we and our families could eat as many warm meals as we want." Royal official speaks, "But if we get caught, you, me, and our families will all have our heads put on pikes." Once the princess of Salzher, the one from Silva, is chosen as the official consort. Salzher is a blessed land. They have plenty of food. I'm sure she'll help us. We just have to hold on a little longer. After hearing all this, they quietly returned to their work. Meanwhile, in the Silva Kingdom, the king forcefully threw a plate of bread and shouted, "I'm tired of bread. Bring me some pastries." Then royal official bowed respectfully and said, "You're holding banquets nearly every night. Are you sure this is wise? The harvest was poor this year compared to others, and the food stores are running low." Then king shouted loudly again, "Silence! Don't you dare rain on the celebration of my dear daughter's marriage." Royal official says, "My apologies." At that moment, two girls came and said, "Father." Seeing this, king speaks, "Oh, Melvi, Maisie." Both of them stepped forward and sat down at the table. Then Melvi said, "Celebrating is all well and good, but is it really okay to be so carried away?" At that moment Maisie speaks. She may have gotten her mother's passable face and figure, but we're talking about that clumsy Arianel, you know? How long can she possibly hold the Emperor's affection? There are other princesses too. If she doesn't produce an heir soon. Hearing this, King says, "You're right. I'm not comfortable leaving it all up to her." Then Maisie said, "In that case, we should go and help her, right, sister?" Melvi added, "You're right. She must feel so lonely in the unfamiliar imperial palace. And if my little sister is in trouble, it's my duty as her big sister to lend a hand." Then King says, "If you two are going to help her, then I can rest easy. That girl may have inherited her late mother's good looks, but it seems she's lacking in both charm and intelligence." Meanwhile, Nathan suddenly leaned over her and said, "Can't you sleep a little more quietly?" She replied, "I've been completely silent though." He says, "The inside of your head is too noisy." She added, "One cannot simply stop thinking just because they want to." Then she said in her mind, "Ha! Is he telling me to die, in a roundabout way?" He asked, "Do you understand my power? You know my weakness, don't you? So shouldn't you be able to block out your thoughts?" She replied, "Just knowing your weakness doesn't mean things will go so conveniently." At that moment, she think again, What do I do? I thought I'd finally managed to avoid execution. But to think I might be killed for being noisy just because my thoughts are too loud is just too cruel. I mean, telling an otaku to stop fantasizing is asking the impossible. I want to complain, but I don't want to die. I thought something I shouldn't have again." After a while, she said, "Your Majesty? It's gotten quiet." He speaks. "It seems your thoughts stop when you're surprised." Hearing this, she says, "You can't do that. If your Majesty keeps surprising me, my heart won't be able to take it. I'll die anyway." He speaks. "I see." Then Nathan suddenly held her close in a hug. She said, "Your Majesty." Then she think again. "There's no way I can sleep in this situation." Then he think, was that counterproductive? The next morning, Ariel opened her eyes and said, "It's morning already." He speaks. "So it seems." At that moment she asked, Starting today, would it be alright if we slept separately as planned?" Nathan got up silently without saying anything and changed his shirt. He was going to take a bath. Then he asked, "This about Crystal?" She replied, "Yes. We need to find out what drove Princess Crystal to think that she had to become a boy as soon as possible." Then he said, "Unnecessary." As soon as he stepped forward, she took his hand and shouted, "Please wait." Then she think, "It is absolutely necessary. I'm worried about Princess Crystal." He speaks. "You're loud," she added. "Then let's go confirm it right now. After all, you made a magic contract to guarantee the safety of myself and the princess." He says, "I'm telling you it's safer for us not to go." She said, "Unlike you, Your Majesty, I can't read minds. You'll have to explain it to me in simpler terms." Then she think again. "If I know you're going to read my mind anyway, I can say whatever I want, and I'm protected by the contract." Then he speaks. "Crystal is afraid of me, and she's afraid of you. If we barge in on her now, we'll only frighten her more. There's no need to ask why she wants to be a man," she asked. "Really?" he replied. "Yes. I already know. I'll break it down for you. Since you can't read minds and are slow on the uptake, only a man, an imperial prince, can become the next emperor. For a long time there was no issue, as the position of empress was vacant. But now you have become the empress. If you give birth to a prince, what do you think will happen to Crystal's standing? Surely you understand now? No matter how many pretty words you offer, it's meaningless when you're the very source of her fear. Give it up." Hearing all this, she lost in thought. "But because I'm a former hairdresser, there must be a way only I can help. I was once shamed by my homeroom teacher for my naturally curly hair. I know how frustrating it is." Then she recalled that what the teacher had said. "Perms are against school rules," I says. "This is my natural hair." Seeing her, he began to think, there she goes again, lost in some nonsensical delusion. After a while she speaks. "By the way, I understand why the princess fears me. But shouldn't it be fine for you to go, Your Majesty?" Then he says, That has nothing to do with this." At that moment, Ariel held his face and said, "How can it have nothing to do with this? You're her father. Even if I can't go, it would be fine if you just went to check on her, wouldn't it?" Then he asked, "What's the problem?" He replied, "She is afraid of me as well. I don't quite understand why. Whenever she sees my face, her mind fills with terror." Hearing this, she added, "Of course it does." He said, "What?" she speaks. There isn't a child alive who wouldn't be terrified of a large, scary-faced person whose thoughts they can't understand. Don't tell me that's the reason you haven't gone to see her. If so, you're going about this all wrong. Even if you can read minds, and even if you love her, if that's how you express it, you're just letting your gifts go to waste. Hearing this, he says, "Hey you." She smiled and said, "It's all right. Once you see the princess, you'll understand what's important." Then she think, I wonder if it was okay to be that forceful. In reality, I have no idea how the princess will feel. Ah, no. What am I doing getting anxious? I know the original story, so it's fine. I will protect the princess, no matter what. After a while, he says, "Fine, we'll go see her. Now let go. You're annoying." She speaks, "Thank you so much." Meanwhile, Princess Crystal was asleep and having a dream in which she thought, "Someone is calling me. My sweet Crystal. Mother? Mother, where are you? I'm sorry I couldn't give birth to you as a boy." Then she got up and called out, "Mother." She think, dream. That's right. I cut my hair yesterday. Suddenly, the maids knocked on the door and said, "Pardon the intrusion." One of them was named Clara, and the other was named Emma. As soon as both maids entered, Clara speaks, "Good morning, Princess, EK." Seeing her, Emma says, "What have you done to your hair? It's a disgrace." Princess Crystal speaks, I did it myself yesterday." Hearing this, the maids were surprised. Clara asked, "She did it herself?" Emma speaks, "The Emperor is completely smitten with the new Empress. Her position was already precarious enough as it is." Then Clara said, "What's going to happen to us? It's not like the Emperor ever came to visit the princess before, anyway." Emma says, "We just have to hide it until it grows out." Then Emma picked up a bucket of water and splashed it onto Crystal's face, saying, "There. You have a point. What are you sniveling for?" Then Clara speaks, "It'll be a problem for us if anyone thinks we're the ones who made you cry." Emma added, "Now that you're a drowned rat, no one can even tell if you're crying." Then Crystal think, "Mother." At that moment, Ariel came, picked up a bucket, threw water at the maids, and shouted, "What is wrong with you people? This poor little girl is crying, and instead of showing a shred of concern, you bully her even more? Have you no hearts?" Clara speaks, "What is this? It's filthy. I can't believe it." Emma asked, "It stinks. Is this water rotten?" Seeing this, another maid think, they used water from cleaning the latrines for something like this. After a while, Clara shouted loudly, "Just because you have the Emperor's favor, that woman is getting way too full of herself." Suddenly, Nathan arrived and listened to everything. Seeing him, she said, "Your Majesty." Then she think, "He saw that, didn't he? How do I cover this up? I have to explain myself quickly. But if you speak without permission in front of His Majesty, you'll be killed. At this point, I'll just blame everything on that woman and save myself." Upon hearing this, Nathan began to think, everyone here is just scrambling to protect their own skin. Seeing Ariel, he think again, worried about Princess Crystal. Then he said, "Do whatever you want." She went over to Crystal and says, "Good morning. You'll catch a cold if you stay like this. Let's have some hot water prepared right away. I'll wash your hair for you." Hearing this, Princess Crystal think, "Washing hair, is that a strange thing?" She speaks, "I didn't mean that in a bad way." Hearing this, he think, if the recipient doesn't appreciate it, even utmost effort is meaningless. As expected, conversation is useless. Then she speaks, "Oh, then once your bath is done, would you let me style your hair today? The maids are probably busy cleaning up anyway." Hearing this, Clara was shocked and said, "You caused this mess and now expect us to clean it up." Then she turned back to look at Nathan and added, "Then I'll clean it myself." At that moment she asked, "Princess Crystal, shall we get started?" Then she added, "Are you bothered by your short hair? If you prefer, I can make it look longer. But since we're here, may I try making the most of your current style?" Then Princess Crystal speaks, "Do as you like, Empress." She smiled and says, "Understood. Then I'll make sure you look absolutely adorable." Then Nathan began to think, when I first entered this room, it was filled with fear. The moment she touched her hair, her thoughts stopped completely. Only waves of unpleasant emotion echoed in my ears. But then, seeing her, Clara began to think, "It's beautiful. I've never seen such an intricate, stunning hairstyle before." Seeing herself, Princess Crystal began to think, "Wow, it's still me. but I feel like someone entirely different. Ariel smiled and said, Done. Then maids began to think, She's adorable. Princess Crystal is the best. I want to see it again. So pretty. I want to admire it longer. At that moment, Ariel said, She's absolutely perfect from every angle. Don't you agree, Your Majesty? Then she think, Compliment her, please, please. And then Princess Crystal think, Will Father finally recognize me like this? After seeing this, Nathan said, Magnificent. You look every bit the noble princess. Hearing this, Ariel smiled and says, I know, right. Hearing Nathan's response, the maids were shocked and began to think, Unbelievable. The silent tyrant actually replied, and even complimented her? Cutting one's hair is something no proper princess should do, but he called her princess. He acknowledged her. He's never shown interest in her before. Why now all of a sudden? Well, no need to think hard. It's the Empress's influence. Suddenly, the maids fell to their knees and began to says, We sincerely apologize. Hearing this, Ariel think, Wow, that was fast. What a complete change of tone. Clara speaks. I deeply regret my rudeness earlier. Emma said, I'll devote myself entirely to serving you. Please spare my life. Ariel began to think again. I see now. They're not afraid of me, but of the Emperor behind me. Then she says, How annoying. Clara replied, I'll do anything you ask. She added, That's not it. The one you should be apologizing to isn't me or Nathan. It's Princess Crystal. Because Your Majesty never bothers to speak up. Everyone keeps misunderstanding. I really think communication is important, don't you? He said. I'll consider it. Hearing this, Maids was shocked and think, Did he just say, consider it? Maid stepped forward and speaks. Princess Crystal, please forgive us, she said. Princess Crystal, you don't have to forgive them just because they apologized. You can even have every maid replaced if you like. Right, Your Majesty? He says. Stop asking for confirmation. Handle it however you want. I'm going back. She speaks. Why? You haven't even talked to Princess Crystal properly yet, he added. Because of you. I didn't sleep a single minute last night. I'm going to bed, she said. If we're saying that, I didn't either. Then he turned back and says, Further conversation is pointless. She speaks. I'm sorry for startling you. Anyway, from now on, please live however you like, Princess. Don't worry about my hair, or about the Empress, or even about the maids. Do as you wish. Princess Crystal says. Your Majesty the Empress, she said. Well, I'll be taking my leave then. Then Princess Crystal stepped forward and speaks. Thank you so much, for everything. Especially my hair? She asked. May I touch your hair again sometime? Princess Crystal replied. Please do. After a while, she returned to her room, lay down on the bed, and began to think. I knew it. Princess Crystal is too cute. But seriously, even if I secured my safety through that contract spell, at this rate, I'll die of sleep deprivation. It's only been one sleepless night, but I swear I saw weird fog on the way back. I've got to figure out a way to get divorced soon. But first, I need sleep. You can't come up with good ideas without a proper nap. Meanwhile, the maids were talking among themselves. Did you hear? They say the Empress spent the entire night receiving the Emperor's affection. The rumors did not remain confined to the palace. Before long, they spread throughout the capital, and people everywhere began talking about the mysterious Empress. A lady said, Apparently, all personnel decisions for Princess Crystal's palace have been given entirely to the Empress. Another lady says, Every single maid is being replaced. Even in the church, people were talking about her. A churchwoman speaks, Not just personnel. The Emperor granted every request she made. Another churchwoman said, To think she could make that man so obsessed. The Empress must be someone extraordinary. Maybe she's actually a saintess? Meanwhile, a parishioner came into the church, bowed in front of a man and said, That's the rumor going around. He was sitting while holding a picture in his hand, and looking at it, he smiled and speaks. If I recall, there was a letter from the Empress's homeland, Silva. Prepare my response immediately. Parishioner says, Understood. He was holding Ariel's picture and said, A saintess, huh? We can't ignore this. The next day, in the kingdom of Silva, Melvi was sitting in her room, looking at a piece of paper, and then she said, Become a saint. Then she angrily crumpled the paper in her hand. At that moment, suddenly, Maisie came and asked, Lady Ruby, have you heard about her reputation in the Empire? Melvi replied, I've told you before. You should knock before coming in, Maisie. Maisie stepped forward and says, I forgot, my apologies. More importantly, about Ariel, Melvy said. Seems she's doing quite well for herself. How arrogant. Then Maisie added, to think that clumsy girl would end up being favored. Must be thanks to our education. Melvy smiled and says, I suppose so. Though she might be under the impression it's all her own doing. Hearing this, Maisie speaks. Exactly. That's why I think she needs regular reminders, so I came to ask your advice, sister. Then Melvy asked, You've been invited to the Empire's Holy Night Festival too, haven't you? Which means you're attending as well? Maisie said. Of course. I'll make sure she understands exactly whose efforts she owes her good fortune to. Melvy says, That's a good idea. Then Maisie smiled and speaks. We've already gone over the details. Things are going to get busy. I'll be counting on your support too, sister. Then Maisie leaves. At that moment, she lost in thought. The group that contacted Maisie isn't from the church. It's a different faction. Seems there are quite a few in the Empire who dislike Ariel. In any case, the enemy of my enemy is my ally. I'll make good use of them. Ariel. 1 week later, Ariel came to Crystal's room and said, Good morning, Princess Crystal. Then she asked, How would you like your hair today? Princess Crystal replied, However Lady Ariel prefers. Hearing this, Ariel thinks, still as cautious as ever. Then she speaks, Maybe it's time I replace these attendants. You're not bullying her again, are you? Clara got scared and started speaking. It's a misunderstanding, Lady Ariel, Emma said. We've truly reflected and are serving with sincere devotion, Princess Crystal said. It's not their fault. Then Ariel began to think. The maids who bullied Princess Crystal were, at her request, reassigned instead of dismissed. The problem is those two ended up being my attendants. Nathan said they genuinely regretted it and are working hard, but still. After a while, Princess Crystal. What worries me is. Then Ariel began to think again. She's adorable, but it's frustrating not being able to read what she's thinking. Maybe I should call Nathan over. She recalled what Nathan had said. Don't treat me like your errand boy. Suddenly, Clara stepped forward and speaks. Pardon my intrusion, but the real issue may lie with you, Lady Ariel. Hearing this, Ariel was shocked and said, Huh, me? Then Emma stepped forward and added, Rumors say His Majesty's affection belongs solely to you. Not just in the palace, but throughout the entire capital. At this point, no one even doubts it. Hearing this, Ariel was shocked and shouted loudly, When did that happen? Then she think, We haven't even shared a proper night together yet. Which means, to the princess, I'm her biggest enemy right now, aren't I? At that moment, Ariel sat down and speaks. Princess, please listen. My relationship with His Majesty is. Then she think, Wait. If she finds out it's a white marriage, my position could be at risk. I need to handle this carefully. Divorce is still my goal, but one wrong move and I might end up dead again. After a while, Princess Crystal asked, Your relationship is? Ariel smiled and replied, It's true I have His Majesty's favor, but you truly have nothing to worry about, Princess. Then Ariel picked up the brush and started brushing Princess Crystal's hair while thinking, Ugh, so frustrating. At that moment, maids stepped forward. Clara speaks, Your Majesty, please don't worry. I'm sure the misunderstandings will clear up at the Holy Night Festival in 2 weeks. Emma added, Indeed. It'll be a great chance for everyone to see just how much Her Majesty the Empress cares. Hearing this, Ariel said, The Holy Night Festival. Then she think, the only nighttime festival in the sun-worshipping empire. A celebration of dawn the moment the sun was born. If I recall, Nathan called the heroine by her name for the first time at that festival. Come to think of it, he's never actually called my name either. Then she recalled what had Nathan said. You. Hey, princess. Well, no big deal. I'll just keep my distance and focus on getting that divorce. After a while, Ariel speaks. Speaking of which, I haven't prepared anything for the Holy Night Festival yet. Is that okay? By the way, what about Princess Crystal's preparations? Clara says. Everything's ready. Her outfit should be in the dressing room. Right over here. Then Emma brought the outfit. Seeing this, Ariel thinks, This is. Then she speaks. Hey, I'm supposed to show at the festival how much I care about Princess Crystal, right? Princess Crystal says. Yes, Ariel said. Then this dress won't do. I've just had the perfect idea. We'll remake the princess's dress entirely from scratch. Then Princess Crystal asked. We're making another dress from scratch. Hearing this, Arianel began to think. Oh, I thought Princess Crystal enjoyed dressing up, but she doesn't seem very into it. Arianel sat down beside Princess Crystal and asked gently, if there's anything troubling you, would you please tell me? At that moment Clara said, it's probably. Arianel asked, will you wait for me? Then she smiled and speaks, Princess Crystal, you're being so good, sitting so still while we do your hair. Isn't it hard to sit still for so long? Princess Crystal says, it's not hard. In fact, it's fun. Arianel asked, can you tell me what's so fun about it? Princess Crystal replied, even though I'm always the same me, it's fun to watch myself gradually change. Hearing this, Arianel smiled and said, I see. In that case, I would think that choosing a dress is also about changing. So what makes it different from getting your hair done? Princess Crystal says, well, it's… For a few moments she tried to hold back her emotions, but before she realized it, tears began streaming down her cheeks. Then she added, the person who makes my clothes said the meanest thing. Upon hearing this, Clara was shocked and explained, actually, the other day, when we ordered a dress for Princess Crystal says, it's a pleasure to be working with you today. Then designer said, pardon me, but for the princess of a nation to be wearing such shabby clothes, it simply won't do. Well, just leave it to me, darling. I'll turn you into the finest lady imaginable. Hearing this, Arianel speaks, let's turn that idiot designer over to the emperor. At that moment, Clara stepped forward and says, if we troubled his majesty with something like that, it'd be our heads on the chopping block. Emma added, that's right. Honestly, due to our budget, this dress is a bit lackluster. But we can't just go petitioning the emperor. Though if it were you, your highness, you might be forgiven, Arianel said. Then I'll be the one to tell him. Then she think, still, this brings back memories. I went to buy some clothes because I wanted to look fashionable. But the clerk just scoffed at me, and I went home without buying a thing. I know I'm not cool, but it still hurts when it happens. I love dressing up, but because of that trauma, I hate having dresses made. It's not just an excuse. It's a serious problem. It's that I have no clothes to go clothes shopping in. Dilemma? Princess Crystal. Just turning them over to Nathan for punishment won't heal the princess's emotional scars. You have to overwrite bad memories with good ones. Besides, I can't stand their arrogant attitude, especially after making such a tacky dress, and I can't forgive them for completely failing to bring out the princess's cuteness. Once I have a goal, I act on it. I'm not just going to make her a cute dress. I'm going to give her the best dress, along with the best experience. After a while, she smiled and speaks. Thank you for telling me what was on your mind, your highness. I know that just saying. I promise I'll never let you feel that way again. Won't be enough to convince you. So first, let's do our best to get dressed up with the dresses you already have. Clara, Emma, bring out all of the princess's dresses and line them up, Clara said. Right away. After a while, Princess Crystal asked, Lady Arianel, why are you being so kind to me? She smiled and replied, there are 2 reasons. One is that, just like you, your highness, I love fashion. Because of heartless insults, tacky clothes, and all sorts of restrictions, I thought it would be a shame for you to lose your joy in dressing up. But the other reason is even more important. Then Princess Crystal asked, an important reason? She replied, it's that I'm very fond of you, Princess Crystal. It's only natural for you to be wary of me, Princess Crystal. I won't ask you to believe what I've just said, but if you'll let me, could you at least try to trust in my fashion-loving spirit for now? Princess Crystal looked at herself in the mirror and said, I love this hairstyle. Not just this one. I've loved every single hairstyle you've done for me. Hearing this, she smiled and says, Your Highness. Princess Crystal held both of Arianel's hands and said, I'll trust you. Please help me choose my dress. She speaks. Leave it to me. First, for choosing a dress to have a dress made in, let's decide on a theme. Then Princess Crystal asked, A theme? She replied, That's right. And you ladies in waiting, I'd like your help as well. The next day, the designer arrived, and the maid respectfully bowed and said, This way, please. Designer speaks. Honestly, I'm a very busy and popular designer, you know. How rude to summon me so suddenly. Even if it is for a princess, Arianel says. Thank you for coming. Seeing her, designer was shocked and shouted, "It can't be! Your Imperial Highness? Why in the world are you here? And in that outfit?" Meanwhile, Emperor Nathan was sitting silently on his throne while all the courtiers stood before him, lost in thought. I thought his affection for the queen might change something. But the silent tyrant is just the same as ever. Seeing him like this, those rumors about his affection seem pretty suspicious. Apparently, that queen does whatever she pleases. Because she almost never leaves the Jade Light Palace, we can't even find out what's going on with her. Then Nathan think, lately, there've been a lot of insolent people thinking about things unrelated to their work. At that moment, a courtier began to think, I've heard that she either dismissed her maid or took in a new one. Who would be the most reliable person to ask about this? This is uselessly exhausting. After a while, Nathan asked, does anyone have a report regarding the Empress? Hearing this, courtiers was shocked and lost in thought again. The silent tyrant actually asked for a report? He usually rejects every report. There's no doubt about it, the Empress really is special to him. There isn't anything we can report. It's truly frustrating that there's no information. Then Nathan began to think, so in the end, it was pointless to even ask, huh? At that moment, a boy raised his hand. Seeing him, a courtier thought to himself, Conrad, what are you doing? His name was Conrad. He stepped forward and speaks, forgive my presumption, but I have something to say concerning Her Majesty the Empress that I wish to bring to your Majesty's attention. Nathan said, I don't mind. You have permission to speak. Meanwhile, the designer asked, Your Majesty? Just why are you here? And that disguise, Ariano replied. I have been waiting, Mrs. The perfect dress also changes depending on the hairstyle, after all. So I did all the preparations and was waiting for you. Please have a seat. She smiled and said, Marvelous. Beautiful. At first glance, a plain, out-of-fashion dress may seem dull. But with an elegant hairstyle, it's actually just right. On top of that, it's a high-class coordination that harmonizes beautifully with her maids. Then she asked, who was the one who did this hairstyle? Princess Crystal replied, Lady Arianel did it for me. Hearing this, she was shocked and asked, What did you say? Not a maid, but Lady Arianel herself? At that moment, a maid asked, Is it really okay that we are getting a haircut as well? Yesterday, Arianel said while styling the maid's hair. What do you mean, okay? A lady's maid isn't just an ordinary servant. She's meant to be beautifully adorned to reflect her mistress's high status, isn't she? Maid says. That is true, but... Then maid lost in thought. Until now, the budget was so tight that even the princess herself couldn't afford to dress up. So there was no chance to even worry about things like that. Because the princess dressed plainly, her maids had to wear even plainer clothes, creating a negative cycle, which only made her appear all the more shabby looking. After a while, Arianel said, There are 2 things we can do to make her look more glamorous using the dresses she already has. First, decide on a theme to create a sense of unity. Second, be creative with hairstyles and accessories. Perfect, maid says. It's already done. Then Arianel speaks. Yes, but even a small change can completely alter one's impression, don't you think? Seeing his, maid was shocked and says, Yes. Arianel added, I'll do the hair of everyone else as well. Then a maid served tea to Princess Crystal. At that moment, the designer said while drawing a design on the paper, I got it. I got it. I've got it. A spark of inspiration just struck me. Total coordination. Group art. I can see it. I can see the scene of the entire venue dyed in my colors. Link. Contrast. Then she threw the paper onto the table toward Arianel. Seeing this, Arianel began to think, so it really is true that she's a top-class designer. Princess Crystal seems happy too. Then she stood up and said, Your Majesty the Empress, I must decline your request this time. Arianel asked, May I know the reason why? She replied, I was hired by the royal officials to create outfits for Princess Crystal. I have no choice but to design according to their wishes. Arianel says, I see. Then she think, so that means there's someone else behind the scenes. The one who's been making Princess Crystal wear those awful outfits and treating her poorly. And that means this designer knows who the mastermind is. At that moment, Arianel said, In other words, if I hire you directly, that solves everything, doesn't it? That way, you'll make Princess Crystal the most adorable dress. Just the way I want it, right? Then Clara stepped forward and speaks. Lady Arianel, are you sure about this? This designer, about Princess Crystal? No, of course. I'm not really in a position to say anything, but, Arianel says, there's no need to hold back. The reason why I keep you by my side is exactly for that. There's no need to pretend anymore. I trust you two more than anyone else. Then she began to think. I'm not like Nathan. I can't read people's minds whenever I want. If I'm going to keep someone close, I'd rather it be someone who's easy to understand, no matter how many people I replace. It doesn't change the fact that this palace is filled with my enemies. Dealing with relationships is tough no matter where you go. After a while, Arianel speaks. I hold you in the same regard, Mrs. I've seen both your bad and good sides, and with that in mind, I'm asking you again, because I believe you're a true professional who chooses work based on merit. Then Arianel held her hand and added, please make the best dress for me, so that Princess Crystal won't be looked down upon by anyone again. Designer says, understood, Your Highness. I will be sure to create the dress you desire. Then Arianel said, now that that's settled, Your Highness the Princess, which design catches your eye? Then Clara speaks, Your Highness the Majesty. This is very difficult to say, but the budget. Well, Arianel added, so you mean I need the Emperor's permission? Then she began to think. I have so many things to discuss with Nathan, but he's been avoiding me for the past week, using being busy as an excuse. But I have to hurry with the dress preparations. Then she smiled and says, all right, I'll go negotiate with the Emperor directly. Meanwhile, all the courtiers left. Some priests came to the Emperor. One of them stepped forward and speaks, Your Majesty, I hope you are well. I have brought a gift from His Holiness the Pope. His name is Bishop. Nathan said, no matter how many times you come or what gifts you bring, my answer won't change. I will not allow a meeting between the Empress and the Pope, Bishop says. At least, Nathan added, I have no intention of explaining the reason to you. Furthermore, I refuse any more dialogue. Bishop respectfully bowed and says, then, allow me to offer God's blessing today as well. Surely you wouldn't refuse this, would you? Our Father, who art in heaven. Arianel walked on, lost in thought. If I'm being avoided, I have no choice but to go and see him myself. If I wait near the throne room, I should be able to catch him, right? At that moment, Conrad came and said, so this is where you were. Please leave this area at once. She asked, why? And, who are you anyway? He bowed respectfully and replied, my name is Conrad Wyndham, a foreign affairs official. The audience chamber is currently dangerous. Please step away from it. She says, even if you suddenly tell me it's dangerous. Then Conrad added, His Majesty is sparing no effort in dealing with this, all to protect you. I will provide you with the details later. So would you please withdraw for now? She speaks, His Majesty? Protect me? Then she began to think, it looks like there's another strange misunderstanding about me. But even if I try to explain, it doesn't seem like he'll listen. It's probably best if I come back later. Still, it's so annoying how only the most baseless rumors spread so quickly. Suddenly, Conrad grabbed her by the arm and took her to a corner. She asked, what do you think you're? Conrad replied, I am aware of my rudeness, but please excuse me. At that moment, they saw some priests arrive, bow, and says, May God's blessing be upon you. Then she think, that's a high-ranking person from the church, right? If someone like that was inside just a moment ago, what exactly is dangerous? Then a priest said, we were unable to meet the saintess today as well. At this rate, we won't be able to face His Holiness the Pope. Bishop speaks, there is no need to worry. God always provides us with trials. Hearing this, she think, a saintess? There's someone like that in the castle? At that moment, a priest speaks. However, he not only conducts violent politics, but if he continues his sacrilegious act of monopolizing the saintess, Bishop says, stop it. We are still inside the castle, he said. My apologies, Bishop. Hearing all this, she began to think, he's enemies with the church too. Just what I'd expect from the tyrant. Then Bishop speaks, in the first place, it hasn't been confirmed that she is the saintess. We came here to meet Her Highness the Empress to ascertain that. You must not forget that, priest said. That's right. It hasn't been decided that the Empress is the saintess yet, has it? She think again. Could this be? Then she asked, Conrad, when you said it was dangerous, were you talking about that group just now? Conrad replied, yes. Then she think again. There's no doubt. They think I am the saintess. Conrad added. That group of clergymen has been coming for an audience every day for the past week in order to meet you, Your Majesty. She asked. For a week? She lost in thought. Don't tell me, that's the reason Nathan has been avoiding me? But if that's the case, it's like he's actually protecting me. At that moment, Conrad bowed respectfully and speaks. Even though it was to protect you, I was extremely rude. My apologies. I will accept any punishment. Hearing this, she thought. My brain is already struggling to process all this. And now. Then she held his Conrad's hand and said, I won't punish someone who helped me. And Nathan absolutely won't either. I'm going to get this all sorted out. So please come with me. Conrad shouted. Your Majesty the Empress. Then she went to Nathan, and as she was about to open the door, she said, Your Majesty, please excuse my sudden visit. Suddenly, Nathan grabbed her hand from behind and pulled her toward him. If you enjoy the video, please like, share, and subscribe. It helps us grow.